All right, let's talk about something that can completely transform your web designs. We're going to go from flat to absolutely fabulous by unlocking a super powerful tool for modern color, RGBA.
So, have you ever felt kind of boxed in by your color palette? You pick out your hex codes, everything looks fine, but it all just feels a bit solid, a little one-dimensional? Yeah, if you've been there, you are definitely not alone.
The first step, really, is to start thinking beyond those solid colors. It's time to add a whole new dimension to our designs.
Here's the deal. Traditional hex codes are great. We all use them, but they've got one major limitation. They can only represent solid, totally opaque colors. That means creating those beautiful, subtle layering effects or those slick, transparent overlays, well, it's pretty much off the table. It really puts a cap on your creativity.
And that brings us to the main event, the big showdown for color control. It's hex versus RGBA.
The difference here is actually super simple, but so powerful. You see, standard hex codes just define red, green, and blue. RGBA does the exact same thing, but it adds one crucial fourth component, alpha. And that A for alpha, well, that's where all the magic happens. That's what controls transparency. Seriously, just think of the alpha channel like a precision dial for transparency on any color you can imagine. It's a value that goes from 0 to 1. If you set it to 0, your color is completely invisible, totally see-through. Crank it up to 1, and it's fully solid. And everything in between? That gives you this incredible range of translucency to play with.
And that transparency dial, it unlocks a whole new universe of creative possibilities for our designs.
All of a sudden, you can create those gorgeous, semi-transparent overlays on your hero images, without making the text on top impossible to read. You can add these subtle, elegant tints to backgrounds, create really sophisticated layered color effects that give your design actual depth, and even build way smoother gradient transitions. This isn't just some small technical tweak. It is a massive upgrade to your entire design toolkit. And you know what? It's not just about the aesthetics. It's also about working smarter. Instead of sitting there trying to guess transparency levels or doing annoying manual calculations, you just get instant, accurate results. That means way less time on the tedious stuff and a lot more time to actually focus on being creative.
Okay, so you might be thinking, this sounds a little complicated, but I promise you, it's not. Let's take a look at the magic of conversion, because it is way simpler than you think.
Let's use a real-world example. Here we've got this awesome, vibrant orange. The hex code is #FF5733. Now, let's say we want this exact color, but we want it to be 50% transparent. Well, it converts directly to RGBA 2558751.0.5. See how that works? The hex values for red, green, and blue are just converted to their normal decimal numbers, and we just tack on that 0.5 for the alpha channel. Boom, done. Now, behind the scenes, any converter tool you use follows this exact same simple process. It just splits the hex code into red, green, and blue, converts each part to a regular decimal value, applies whatever alpha setting you chose, and then spits it out in the right format for your CSS. It's just simple math, which is why these tools can do it for us in literally a split second. Okay, so now you've got this new superpower. But you know what they say, with great power comes the need to use it wisely. So let's talk about designing effectively with that alpha channel. There are really just 3 key things to keep in mind. First, and this is a big one, accessibility. When you start layering colors, you have to be sure your text still has enough contrast so that it's readable for absolutely everyone. Second is performance. Now, RGBA is super efficient, but if you go crazy with dozens of complex transparent layers, things can slow down, so just use them thoughtfully. And finally, fallbacks. For really old browsers, it's always good practice to provide a solid hex color as a backup, just in case. But speaking of browser support, you might actually be surprised here. The need for those fallbacks, it's shrinking fast. RGBA is supported by all modern browsers, and get this, it even goes as far back as Internet Explorer 9. So for pretty much any project you're working on today, you can use it with total confidence. So at the end of the day, moving from hex to RGBA isn't just some technical switch. It's a full-on creative upgrade. It's one that gives you more depth, more flexibility, and way more control over your designs. And that really brings us to the final question. Now that you have this incredible power of transparency in your toolkit, what are you going to create?